Greetings, dear viewer. Thank you so much for joining us on yet another episode of Women Engage. My name is Efijana Tieno, and today I have an audience of young people, and we just want to talk about navigating transitions. Transitions can be hard, I know, but it doesn't have to. Some can be positive, some can be negative. So how do we navigate all this? You know, transitions here, there, and everything in between. Yes, my name is Efijana Tieno. If this is your first time, welcome to the Women Engage program. And if you are a recurring viewer, welcome back. I'll just have our guests introduce themselves, starting with you.
Hello, my name is Noel Ayayo. I'm a medical student and I walk dogs.
Okay. And she walks dogs. Yes, Brenda.
Okay. Hi, dog walker. Hi, my name is Brenda Malanya. I am a practicing forensic scientist.
Wow, practicing forensic scientist. So thank you so much for introducing yourselves, and we'll just kickstart this conversation. And maybe you can just, for a start, what's the one moment in your life that you remember you made that a transition moment in your life? It could be positive, it could be negative, in any aspect of your life, career, relationship, family, one that you'd be comfortable sharing with us.
I recently got a new job. That's why I'm currently practicing. And it had come in after years of not practicing in the field that I had been. So, of course, when you've been praying for something for a very long time and you finally get it, you don't know how to handle it. You don't know if you'll abuse it. You don't know if you'll go well about it. So far, so good. I'm like adjusting well into my new job. I'm loving the things that I am doing. And yeah, above all, I'm just learning to take one day at a time to soak in and realize that this is the moment I've been praying for and it's actually really happening.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yes, Daktari.
My transition would be the period between Form 4 and university.
Ooh.
It was a long period of time, and then it's right after you're from high school and everything is being watched. Like you wake up, you know you're supposed to do this and this and this, but then after you're done with Form 4, you don't know what to do with your time. You're just, you wake up, everyone is gone to work, you're alone in the house. Yeah.
Wow. Now, from what you're saying, there's something that I'm thinking about. You know, that period of transition can be a painful process because it's the period to learn and learn. It's like you had been away from the job you studied for a while. So getting in, it's like you have to learn everything you did in campus afresh, you know. And it's like the moment now you're making that move into campus, the first thing you're told in campus, leave everything you learned in high school behind. Because so there's a lot of learning and unlearning. So what are some of the important lessons that you learned in the process that you feel have pivoted you into your new era, if it's now moving into university, moving into your new career and all that? Yes.
Give yourself time.
Oh yeah.
Time, because not everyone does everything at the same pace or at the same time. You find after Form 4, maybe you entered university and you were like the topmost student. And then you come and then you meet all these people who are like you or even better than you. And probably during the transition, you slowed down on maybe your reading and everything else. So you just give yourself time, you catch up. You can't compare yourself to other people.
Oh, yes.
Maybe to pick up on that, in giving yourself time, I think you should also give yourself grace. For someone like me, I don't like failure. I think you know that.
Star student.
So, I mean, adjusting to the fact that now you have to learn. When you learn something new, more often than not, you stumble. Because you don't get everything on the go, on the fast go. So, while you're giving yourself time, I also think you should also give yourself grace to understand that, okay, it's a new process you're learning and you may not get everything on the go. However, you've started a process, so that alone needs some pat on the back. I think the other thing will be acknowledging the change as it is. Grieving. Maybe, for example, if you've lost a job or you've lost a relationship or you've lost someone, it is good to grieve, like actually don't just wish it away with, the one thing we as Christians are known for is to be optimistic. But even in times of that process, it's okay to acknowledge and even tell God, you know what, I don't like this feeling. I don't like the fact that I've lost a job or I've lost someone. I was accustomed to them for a while. And so once you acknowledge the change, it actually gives you a better preparation of dealing with it. Like the first step is, okay, this is where I am at. And once I am at peace with that, then now it's easier for you to move to the next level. So I think for me, the biggest thing I will actually tell people is acknowledge the change, whether good or bad. If it's a bad thing, it's okay to say it as it is. Don't wish it away. Don't sweep it in the rag under the pretext of, oh, let's praise the Lord even in tough circumstances. You know, it's not, it's okay to, I think the previous quarter, the lesson, the psalmist was really trying to emphasize the fact that it's okay to tell God you're feeling as it is. It's okay to feel sad and tell God, you know what, I'm actually sad. I'm actually happy. But even despite all that, I'll still praise you. He didn't just wish it away like, oh, I'll praise you even when I'm being haunted. He actually said, you know what, dear Lord, why have you forsaken me? Dear Lord, you know, like my soul pants for you because right now I need you. But all the same, or I'll praise you or I'll glorify you. So he acknowledged his feeling, but at the same time, he still recognized God's role in his transition process.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is very profound. And there's something about transitions, and one thing I've learned is there's always a lesson to be learned. There's always, and we always say change is constant. If there's one thing that's constant in life, it's change. People evolve. People of transitioning. And one thing I look at is, for example, a butterfly. It was once
A caterpillar. Yeah.
Then larva, then it was, and then it bloomed into this beautiful butterfly. Does it have to walk around with its caterpillar friends again? Not really. But if it decides to walk around with caterpillar friends, nothing stops it. So one thing, transitions have a way of refining you. It's like you're being put through a fire and you're being refined. It could be positive, it could be negative, as we have said. So how do we navigate friendships? How do we navigate relationships when we are changing? Do we change the course of our friendships? Do we abandon them and pick it up back later? How do we navigate that? Because I feel like that is one part of transitions, because transition is a very personal thing. I'm the only one who knows what I am feeling, what I am facing. I'm the only one who can acknowledge what is in my mind and in my heart. As my friends, you cannot be in a position to tell or feel it with me. So how then do we navigate my inner thoughts, and how do I align it with my friendships? Do I align it with my relationships with my family and all that? Yes, Frozen.
I think you need to, first of all, acknowledge and accept where you are. Whether you are transitioning from grief or from improving from being promoted to a higher ranking in job, you realize friends come for a reason, a season, and there's some who will last at the moment, and some who maybe after you get promoted, you don't align anymore, you don't talk the same language anymore, so you'll have to abandon them. Which is, it's okay. It's not like a terrible thing to do that, because you also need to, that way you also get to like evolve as a person. You get to think differently. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You
have experience in this. Tell us, Brenda.
Well, I feel like it's easier said than done, to be honest. But what has worked for me is, over time, I have come to identify people who I'm comfortable in sharing milestones, like either positive or negative. So like case in point, when I got the job, of course, I shared it with my mom. I shared it with my significant other. Then I called my prayer group, which she is part of. They were the next in mind, because we had prayed for this for a while. And for us, it was a testimony of, okay, God has really been faithful. So over time, it's good to identify people who you are comfortable with sharing whatever transitions, because truthfully speaking, we're not mind readers. You know, we can't exactly know what's in your mind. So over time, it's good to cultivate. I know we've made it a cliche as safe spaces, but it is really really important, because at the end of it all, some transitions you cannot handle alone, sadly. And if you're not really equipped to handle it alone, and you don't have a support system, then who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's okay to, for me, I know it's a struggle because I am a friendly person. I love people, and it's easy for me to, you know, speak, but I have had to train myself to share some things with specific people, and over time, if other people get to find out, it's okay. If they don't find out as well, it's equally okay. So it's a learning process in itself as well. It's not a walk in the park, to be honest, but the good thing is that once you get your tribe, they make it somehow easier for you, and you won't feel as alone in the transition. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree with her, because in some, you realize that you don't have to share everything
with everyone. Yeah.
True. And sometimes someone said, I think it was on TikTok or something, the biggest hindrances in our lives is we overshare.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
speak everything, sometimes to the wrong audience. You think someone is your friend, but they don't wish the best for you, and you tell them, I got a new job, and
they'll be fake smiling,
but deep down
you don't know what's going on in their head. Yeah.
There was just a very interesting conversation about sometimes how you share the changes in your life, or you're getting married, you're in a new relationship, you're in a new job, you're going to school to further your studies, and your friends smile at you, but then they'll stab you in the back, you know, later on.
Yeah.
But there's something that I'm here and I'm thinking, with change comes a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of what ifs, and what if it might not? You know, when I think for me, my biggest transition moment was when I resigned from my job without a backup plan sometime last year. I think all of you know about that. And everyone was like, Effie, are you insane? In this economy, unaenda kudu, where are you going? What are you going to do? Where are you going after this? I'm like, I'll just sit home and figure it out. I figured it out eventually, but there was that, what if I don't figure it out? What if this doesn't work? How do I navigate it? So how do you deal? And I think it's such instances that people find their purpose, find their calling, and even find God. So how do you make sure you balance all that out and just shut it all out and deal with the uncertainty that comes with change? Because right now, if you decide you're moving into this and you're doing ABC, you don't know the outcome. You don't know what to expect. How do we deal with that so that the uncertainty itself doesn't cripple us? Because sometimes we fail to start businesses, go back to school, get into those relationships, move into those, because you don't know what might happen. So how do we deal with that? Yes, Flozel.
You need to trust yourself. Be your own biggest cheerleader. And as God has said, you can do all things, not some things. All things through Christ who gives you strength. So you need to trust yourself, shut all the other negative thoughts. It's difficult.
I know.
But you have to sometimes remind yourself, go to the mirror, say, I can do this. Yeah, and trust God and trust the process.
Sometimes you trust yourself, and
then
then
the process
does the process know we are trusting it?
Now that's why you need to keep reminding yourself always.
I think we have a tendency of, I think even I experienced it, but I tried to really close my mind off it, because at some point when 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, I'm still not getting a job, I'm like, I thought I was smart. Like, I thought, man, there was a time I was applying for jobs and everyone wanted me. Why don't you want me? Please want me, choose me, love me. And it was tricky, because I'm like, employers, is my CV not good enough? And I started questioning, should I really have left that job? But I reminded myself, yeah, it wasn't all that, so it was a really good idea. How do we close that off? Because it's easier said than done.
It's easier said. I think for me, what I will say is, sometimes we are our greatest critics, and sometimes you need people to speak into you. You know, like one random person will just text you and tell you, you've got this, apply for this, I believe in you. Okay, you expect it from your inner circle, but sometimes even these random people, when they speak into your life, it sorts of shifts. For me, that's like what really happened. I know I was also in Effie's boat. Like, you ask yourself, man, did I go through 16 years of school not to, you know, like just to end up languishing like this? And you have a lot of crippling thoughts and doubts in your head. But what really sustained me was people checking, people speaking to you, you know, you've got this, you're still smart, you know, maybe it's not God's timing. And of course, at that point, you're like, huh? What do you mean it's not God's timing? Which clock is he using? But eventually, when I got the job, it now like really dawned on me, like this was not on my own. I could not manage this on my own. It's because people really spoken to me and I rode on their faith. I can tell you for free that days I could not even pray. There are days I will just be really angry at God. But the fact that I knew there are some friends who are praying for me, they will even remind me by their Brie, I'm praying for you. You know, that really, like, it really sustained me. It really sustained me. So what I will easily say is, sometimes it's good to let people speak into your life, to speak into your being, especially in that situation where you're actively going through the transition. It is good to, you know, just drop in an encouraging word, drop in an encouraging text, because you never know. That is a thing they're going to ride on for a long while.
Now, there's something as Christians, we have to be practical in the aspect of practical Christianity, because everyone will tell you in that moment, trust God, listen to God's voice.
His timing is perfect.
His timing is perfect. But what about my timing? Doesn't it matter in this situation? So how do we as Christians ensure that we still maintain our trust in God and our faith and be hopeful about our transition? Because with uncertainty comes doubt, and with doubt comes us questioning God in our lives. And I think we've been in that pitfall where you're like, is this really God's will in my life? Is it though? Because if I had the choice, I wouldn't go through this, but here I am. So how do we as Christians, and there's a Christian out there going through a painful transition, especially, and they're wondering, how do I trust God when I am going through this? Because I do not feel his presence. So how do you maintain your, you know, relationship with God, especially in those difficult moments? And Flozine, for you, I know you're the daughter of a pastor. So I think that brings in itself an added layer of pressure, because they're like, but you're the daughter of a pastor. You should be like this miracle worker in your own life. Everything is all hunky-dory. How do you deal with that?
I'm still dealing with what is it called? The bracket you put, like your pastor's kid, you're supposed to dress like this, you're supposed to talk like this, you're supposed to do this, that.
So they've put you in a pedestal of sorts.
And then now when you start to become your own person, people are looking at you and they're like, something went wrong.
The calling was not yours, it was your parents.
Me, I wouldn't say I know how to deal with that, because I'm still dealing with it. I'm still learning, so I don't think I'd have a right way to answer.
So you're still in the refining.
Yes.
We all are. Yes.
I think, well, I have just come out from one recently, and I know for me what really stood out for me was the fact that for once I was actually authentic with God at that moment. You know, for once I just told him, okay, let's cut the drama for a minute and let's have a conversation. We can sit here, we talk. And for days on end, I'd write. I love journaling, so I'd journal my thoughts, I'd pray and I'd cry. And of course there's no immediate relief, but the fact that maybe God listens, even though I didn't feel it, because to be honest, I felt like God wasn't there at that moment, but truthfully he still was. Like, he just didn't show up in the manner I wanted him to show up. You get?
That's the thing.
Yeah, he was there, but he didn't show up in the manner I wanted him to show up. I wanted him to show up in a very big way, but he showed up in the stillness of the small moments. Like when I was about to give up, he'd send someone to drop in, check in, you know, or he'd send a flower to friends, like, go visit Brie, you know. But for me, I wanted I want the job here and now. I want the car here and now. I want to tell everybody, you know what? I went through the system, I got the grades, and here it is. But he didn't do that at the moment. He didn't do it at that time. What he did was he will just send me, the same way he sent a raven to Elijah, he used to send me ravens. But at the moment, I didn't know it was that. But after going through the process and looking back, you're like, oh, so God was there all the time. You know, I didn't realize, you know, like my mom was there. I've not had a rose relationship with my mom, but during that transition, she was my rock. She would ensure I fed, I slept, I ate. And she did not complain, not even for a minute. She did not complain. And prior to that, she would be a typical African mother, you know. So when you reflect back, you realize God was there. He showed up in different ways, only that maybe at that point we want him to show up in the way we want him. So you are sort of blinded of sorts. You don't see him there. But once you go through the phase and you look back, then it hits you like, oh, so God was there all the time. It's just that we didn't see it. Yeah.
That reminds me of, there's this song I absolutely used to love. I think it's Baby Mason. And it says, God is too wise to be mistaken. God is too wise to be unkind. When we don't understand, when we don't see his hand, trust his heart. And I think that's a very powerful testimony when you're going through that period where you're transitioning, or that period where things are changing for you. You do not see the future, but he does. He sees the future from the past. He sees, and even when you feel like everything is crumbling, everything is falling apart, he's still there. And there's one thing we always say as humans, and I love saying that, I know God will take care of it. I just have to cry first and be dramatic first.
And then
then I'll be like, okay, God, fine, I am done now. Okay, deal with it.
Take the wheel.
Thank you. I have to try driving fast and like, okay, fine, such bus. It's a human nature. Yeah. It's a human nature. Now, even as we're bringing this to a close, there's someone out there listening, and maybe they're going through a heartbreak. They're entering a new relationship. They are getting married, and that's a big change for them. They are moving countries. They are going to a new school. They are starting a new job, or they are quitting their current job. They are having a new baby. You know, there's so much when it comes to transition. They are trying to change their lifestyle. They are trying to change their religion or their culture and all that. And they are listening, and they're like, I need a message for me in this moment. What is that one thing that has worked for you that you'd encourage them? Just a word of encouragement to that person out there. To your camera, as we bring it to a close. I'll start with you, and then you'll wrap it up for us.
All right.
I'd say you don't have to go through it alone, because sometimes you'd feel like you need to go through it alone, but you don't have to go through it alone. Like sometimes when I'm going through something so hard, I can't pray, and I can't even get myself out of bed. I'd just like call my mom and then tell her about it, and then she'd pray about it. I wouldn't pray, but I would know my mom is praying about it. Or even someone who you're comfortable to share these things with. It could be a friend, your brother, your sister, or maybe you're just comfortable confronting God about it. It may sound cliche, but all changes, you need to like put yourself at Jesus' feet. Yes.
Amen. Put yourself at Jesus' feet in all changes.
Amen.
Love that. Yes.
I feel like a psychiatrist after this. But one thing is, acknowledge the change as it is. However grim or however beautiful, it's okay to say it as it is, acknowledge it. 2, talk it out. If you're a writer like me, write it out. If you're very extroverted, call your friends, talk about it, laugh about it, cry about it. 3, also, I think really what is personal for me is fight it up with God. honestly. Fight it like the same way Jacob did. Fight it up
Wrestle
with
with
God.
it.
Like wrestle with God. Wrestle with God. And if it's too much, please seek professional help. There are people who have been trained to actually like help you navigate through transitions, because some transitions can be very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Something like grief, or like we've lost a loved one, it can be very overwhelming. So seek for professional help. It can really work. But above all, transitions are inevitable, and that's a beauty and the mystery about life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so. You're too young to have such wisdom. When I grew up, I aspire when I grew up. So thank you so much for joining us. And for you who's listening out there, as I've said, change is constant. Transitions are inevitable. And there is really nothing we can do about it. So it's important to learn to move with the times. It's important to learn to adjust and be okay with the phase that you're in. Life has different phases. Be okay in the space that you're in that moment. And when the next moment comes, you move into a different phase. That's also okay. If you have to shed some people, if you have to carry forward some people, that is also okay. And the underlying theme in all this is, with all change and all transition, God doesn't change. He's still the same. He's there all the time.
In every change,
In every change,
He faithful will remain.
Amen. I love that song. In every change, He faithful will remain. So be still, my soul. Again, be still. That's all I can tell you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for taking your time and being with us amidst your busy schedules. We do not take that for granted. And for you who's been sitting there and listening to us, thank you. Thank you so much for your support. We do not take it for granted. I do not want to add anything onto that, because I don't have I'm not the SI unit of transitions. I do not have it all figured out. I am just trying to learn. And we hope that we can learn together at the feet of Jesus. Amen. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode. We hope to see you in our subsequent episodes. If you have not caught up with our previous episodes yet, please check us out on social media, Hope Media Network, ECD, and on your televisions, you can find us on Hope Channel. We hope to see you next time. That is all from us. Goodbye.